Hello and welcome to the channel. My name is Jonathan. Today I'm participating in the Top 10 First Appearance Challenge. I was recently tagged by Mark with Legion of Comics, and I was also tagged by Tyler, Shattered Glass Comic Reviews. And so the three channels that I would like to tag, that I would love to see their top 10 first appearance comics, are 22 Comics, Low Budget Comics and Things, and Nick the Comic Nerd. And I want to give a shout out to Alex the Comic Hoarder, who started this challenge. I'm going to put the link to Alex's video in the description, as well as Legion of Comics and Whack Comics video that tagged me originally. So again, if you watched my video yesterday, was a complete joke, not to be taken seriously. This is my top 10 books that I have, and I would say they're not necessarily all monetary high books. These are books that are kind of important to me that I don't want to see come out of the collection. So the very first book, number 10, is New Mutants number 87, and this book is the first appearance of Cable. So I wasn't able to pick this up as a child. I think this was more expensive than I had wanted to spend at the time. This was obviously the money book when I was collecting at the time. And I'm happy to have this in the collection. This was something I bought sometime in 2018. It wasn't necessarily the very first book I bought coming back into the hobby, but it was close up there. And so recently I ended up picking up a 9/8 copy because I felt it was affordable. And I wasn't really sure if the raw book that I had would grade that high. So coming to you at number 9 is another book that was very important to me, or as a child, or one that I had wanted to collect, and that's because I was very much into X-Men and the 90s cartoon. And so this is Uncanny X-Men number 266, first appearance of Gambit. This is a newsstand. Something that I ended up picking up, I want to say, like in 2018, shortly after coming back into the hobby. Love this character, and I'm very happy to have that into the collection. So coming to you at number 8, this is a childhood book that my stepfather had given to me and passed down to me for my collection, and that's X-Men number 14. This is the first appearance of the Sentinels, which was also like a big part of the 90s cartoon, so I'm definitely happy to have this awesome cover. It's a really nice copy. It's something that I'm probably going to submit to CGC at some point. Number 7, this is, like I said, probably one of the last books that I had bought growing up. I had gotten out of collecting, I would say, sometime around 94, 95. I want to say that is probably around the time that I picked these books up. I'm not 100% sure. It's been such a long time. But I do remember how I picked these up. I ended up going to a local LCS here in Florida, and I took like $100 with me, and I ended up buying, several books, which were like the Age of Apocalypse run. And I ended up picking up not one, but 2 copies of New Mutants number 98. This is the first appearance of Deadpool. And this, at the time, like I said, was not the money book. It was not even a wall book at the time. It was something that was just in the back bin of the New Mutants, short box or whatever that I was looking at. So I'm so happy to have this now. Again, it's not really something that at the time was very expensive to get. So I'm just was lucky at the time of when I was collecting for me to be able to have that. So this next book, now that goes into when I left the hobby. This book goes into when I came back into the hobby. So number 6 is Ultimate Fallout, number 4, first print, and a 9.6. So the story behind this is, I think I ended up going to Books A Million because I wanted to buy a Wizard magazine. And unfortunately, Wizard wasn't around at 2018, and I didn't know about that at the time because I wanted to get back into the hobby. I can't remember if it was the Ant-Man and Wasp movie that got me back into wanting to collect again, but for whatever reason, I ended up trying to go to Books A Million to find out what the latest comics prices were, what was hot to buy, and I ended up striking out because I ended up going online and finding that Wizard dissolved many years before that. So what I ended up doing was I ended up going onto YouTube, and I can't remember the channel that had suggested it, but they had suggested to buy in Ultimate Fallout 4 that it was the first appearance of Miles Morales. I knew nothing about this character in 2018, and I just went on somebody's recommendation off of YouTube, and I ended up picking this book up for $99.99 shipped total. So just by going off of someone's recommendation, that's the only reason why I have this book in the collection, and obviously I'm happy to have it now, considering where that book is now. Number 5 in the collection, again, talking about 2018, I remember watching the Ant-Man and Wasp movie. I like Ant-Man. So this is Tales to Astonish number 44 and a 4.0. This is the first appearance of the Wasp. I definitely love the Tales to Astonish run. That is something that I am working on. So this is my number 5 book in the collection. Again, if you pay attention to the channel, I usually have a lot of these books hanging up on the wall, so that should tell you what books are left as far as I'm going to show you. So coming to you at number 4 is Tales to Astonish number 35. This is the first appearance of Ant-Man in costume. So in Tales to Astonish 27, he is still addressed as Ant-Man, but he is not in the costume. So this is the second appearance of Hank Pym, first appearance in costume. This is a 7.0 off white to white pages. So very happy to have that book. Coming to you at number 3, this is my first CGC submission that I had posted on my channel. So if you follow the channel, you should know that that is Hulk 181. This book is complete, still has the Marvel Value stamp. It is a 2.5. I was slightly disappointed when I had gotten this back. I thought this was maybe around a 3.0, but I'm still definitely happy to have this book. This is a book that I was given to by my stepfather as a child, and it has survived one divorce, several moves. Definitely not going to be something that I want to part with anytime soon. So that's the very first full appearance of Wolverine, which obviously is debatable to some people, depending on which book you have. Now this book, my number 2 book, it can be swapped with number 1, depending on how I feel in any given day. So this book, I did not imagine I would have in the collection because this book is expensive now. It wasn't when I bought it, but I'm just happy to have it. It's Amazing Spider-Man number 129. It is the first appearance of the Punisher, first appearance of the Jackal, and this is a 6.5 white pages. And this book is really such a nice clean copy. The reason why it's a 6.5 is there is a line that goes from here to here. I think otherwise it would be much higher in grade. So I'm very happy to have this cover. I absolutely love this cover. I love yellow covers, and I love the Punisher. So this next book is also one of those things where I want to say I bought this in 2017. I think I said I came back in 2018 to collecting, but I think 2017 I bought this book, and this was the only book I bought because I've been wanting it forever. I typically have this thing with my wife where we don't necessarily buy each other certain things for like certain occasions. And so I ended up saving up some money to buy these books. And so what happened was, this was an eBay auction. It was a multi-lot listing. I ended up picking up Amazing Spider-Man number 298 Raw, Amazing Spider-Man number 299 Raw. Also in this lot was Amazing Spider-Man 301, graded in a 9.4. Also a copy of Amazing Spider-Man 303 in a 9.6. A raw copy of Amazing Spider-Man 316. And then there was this book, Amazing Spider-Man 300. So this is an old label, a very old label. It's graded at a 9.2 with white pages. This is definitely something that I am considering to have cracked and pressed and resubmitted, because there really isn't much spine wear on this book. There's a little bit of debris because of the way this earlier case was. It's kind of got a little bit of leeway in here where things can fall into it. So this book, I always wanted as a child. The strange story about this, it was a lot on eBay, and it was ending between like 10 o'clock in the morning on a Tuesday or Wednesday, and I thought that that was just such a weird time for the auction to end. And so I had a really good opportunity to bid on this, and when I won it, I was kind of one of those things like, wow, I don't know what I'm going to do now. I won this book. I didn't really tell my wife that I had bought this at the time, because I was afraid to tell her that I had paid $350 for the whole lot of books. But, you know, looking back at it now, this was such a great deal, and I'm so glad to have this in the collection. Amazing Spider-Man 300 is my #1 book, because I love Venom. This is the first appearance of Venom, and I'm so glad to have this. So that wraps up my video. Again, I'm going to have the links to the other channels that I had mentioned in the video that shared their top 10 with me and tagged me. I'm going to put that in the description. I hope you really enjoyed this video. Thank you for stopping by and watching. Take care. Bye.